Nice to see you. To see you, nice. I hope everyone is having a beautiful Sunday and it's not too hot there. Just right here in England. Sorry, when you've got a messy hairstyle, you can't really tell what it's going to look like on camera until you go onto camera, in the sense of the spiking up bits. I know you think you can look in a mirror, but you can't. I don't actually look like this. It's funny, the camera, like the way it works. Like what it picks up and what it doesn't. So my hair looks really nice, but on here today it looks like it's like. You see. Yeah, because you're only seeing me obviously in flat. So nice to see you. I can't really sit in silence with you long today because I have to vamoose quickly this evening. So you only have a little bit of silence and then I will start talking. I didn't really know what to call the talk. Like I wanted to call it something about love, but I didn't quite know how to say it. Oh. Sorry, just with the. Yeah. But we're just talking silence before. So if this is the first time you've been on live stream, I'll tell you how it works. If you want to speak to me, then you call me through Skype, and my Skype address is LisaCairns12, and you can just friend me now and you can write me questions. And if you do want to call in, you have to have a headset with a microphone so not to disturb other people. If you want to join an event I'm doing a retreat in about 2 weeks, I think, in Paris in northern Germany in the Baltic Sea, and you're very welcome to join me there. I'll just take 5 minutes silence today and then start talking. The most loving thing that you can do in this life is simply be yourself in every moment. And then you've got to ask the question, who is this self to be? So who would that self be? To be yourself is to know yourself as not a thing, that your essence is not a thing. Experiencing life through this human form, but who your essence is not a thing, which by default makes it everything. This isn't an intellectual thing. No matter how many times I say that, like even these words miss it. They don't quite get the emptiness and the vastness of this moment. That life is absolutely empty, but not in a negative way. And that this doesn't have anything to do with your human personality character. Like for the character or the person to become empty is a disaster. It's beyond that. The personality is the personality, the conditions. And there's nothing wrong with the way the personality is. It's recognizing that your essence, deeper than that which is experiencing right now, isn't limited to form and is not a thing, appearing as everything. The reason that your experience feels limited is because there is this attachment to the character. So there's an attachment to believing that you're a character that was born on a certain date, that's going to die on a certain date, that likes things, doesn't like things, has things, owns things. And so there's this energetic attachment that makes it feel like that is who you are, and that you're inside the body looking out from the eyes. Whereas actually that person is being experienced, it's not the experiencer. So this person that you imagine yourself to be, that is Eleanor, 56, sitting on the sofa, that's an imagination of who you are. That's not actually who you are right now. Right now, who you are, what's looking out, is a mystery, and it's not a form. You might think that it's the body, but that's a thought that comes and goes. This looking is actually infinite and everywhere, and all things. It's free. It's love. And it doesn't really matter how you call it. To me, it's irrelevant whether you call it consciousness, no thing, everything. Like some people in Advaita take great pride in saying it's no thing, and consciousness is still form, or some say it's consciousness, or some say it's awareness. Some say that all these different arguments, the I am. And it doesn't really matter, it's just this energetic movement back to something that's expanded, that's totally energetical. That something's not limited. It's not intellectual. It's not a thought. It's not something you get. It's a shift from being limited to this person that looks out to everything, to this non-dual experience, if you could call it an experience, or non-dual reality, if you want to be even more non-dual in the language. We've got to be careful about the non-dual police. They'll be in there commenting on the video afterwards. One way or the other. You're too non-dual. You're too dual. You should say it like this. You should say it like that. Like this, like that. Like this, like that. That's not right. That is right. And then on all of that, there's still this experiencing here, which is love. It's such vast and empty and peaceful love that's here no matter what is happening on the surface. This isn't about you, the person, getting something. So it's not about you arriving at a place of this, because that's an imagination of you arriving. It's seeing that it's already here. It's just hiding because you're identified with the person, and when you're identified with the person, then you're always on this mission to collect as much pleasure points as you can and to avoid as many pain points as you can. It's like boop, boop, boop. And that's your mission. And it becomes like an obsession, like constantly trying to maintain pleasure. This is the way the body should be orientated. It's not that that's wrong. The body should always move towards pleasure and not pain. It would be a screwed up body if it was always moving towards pain. So that's not wrong. It's just when you believe that you find what you're looking for in that pleasure, which most people do, that when you manage to have more time off, when you manage to get enough money, when you manage to sell 100,000 books, you will have arrived. You're never going to arrive. You're never going to get to the place that you dream of. You're always going to be right here, right here. Right here. This is it, baby. It's impossible for the mind to get. The mind's always looking for something, like how can I understand her? Where it's got nothing to do with the mind. I can help you relax the person and relax that seeking energy. But the energetic shift has got nothing to do with the mind. It's nothing to do with you and your efforts. All of that is imagined you with your efforts. And there's back on of how hard you've tried. All of it's imagined. That you got into this subject, that you're going to arrive in this subject, that you're going to become enlightened, that you're going to become free, that you weren't free and then you become free. That's all imagined. There's nothing wrong with communicating things and expressing how you go into this subject, but just see right here, right now, your essence doesn't contain any of that or hold anything. The experiencer is none of that. The experiencer is free and beyond that. Just see the thoughts and ideas appearing in a vastness. The sensations, heat, cold air appearing in a vastness. Nothing can contain that vastness. So you think that you end somewhere and the world begins somewhere. Whereas when you begin to sink into what you are, which is right here, then you see there isn't a beginning and an end to that. It can't be contained, it can't be grabbed hold of and put into a bucket. There's no end to you. There's no start and stop. This isn't for the personality. If we zoom back out to the personality, the one that can describe that it went to the shops today, or that it laid in the sun, or that it went for a swim, don't take any of that on for that person, because taking it on for that person will make the person more than likely screwed up. It can in points relax the person, but don't try and use non-duality as therapy. It's better to use therapy as therapy, to understand the person, to understand what it wants, understand what it's doing, rather than to sit there and be like, I am nobody, I am nobody, I am nobody. That's a disaster. And more than likely why somebody does that on the human level is because they don't want to exist, because they've never been recognized in their life. Maybe they came from like very narcissistic parents who never recognized their emotions, their feelings, their voice, and so sitting there and saying I'm nobody actually matches up with their psychology. So on that level it's not right. But that which is experiencing that person, that's the level I'm talking to. It's an energetic exchange. I'm not really talking to the person. You think I'm talking to the person, but I don't think I'm talking to the person. There's speaking happening in this vastness and this freedom about this beautiful subject. Okay, maybe take a question. Hi, Raphael. Hi, beautiful. Nice. Hi. Ponachami. I hope I say your name correctly. Google, I can't get my computer to speak out your name, like on Skype. It doesn't highlight it to speak it out. I used to be able to highlight it and do that. So I hope I get your name right. Ponachami. It's a very long name. Ponuchami. Hi, Lisa. Thousands of years ago, scripture Vigyan Bhariva Tantra says, "34. Listen while the ultimate mystical teaching is imparted. Eyes still, without blinking, at once, become absolutely free." On that line, while I watching and listening to you live, how should I be? Meditative? Thanks. That's really beautiful, that quote. Listen while the ultimate mystical teaching is imparted. Eyes still, without blinking, at once become absolutely free. It can only happen at once. That's really beautiful. You see, you think you're somebody that has to do something in order to hear these teachings. So if you're in discomfort, I can give you advice on the human level, but on the absolute level, who is this person that's going to become free? And who is this person that you think has free will and choice in order to sit there and decide to listen to me, to meditate? Like, who is this? See that it's all simply happening. Like an orchestra of music. It's all happening. Your thoughts to listen to me appear, your thoughts to meditate appear, your thoughts to not meditate appear, and then this person in the middle that's like, should I, shouldn't I, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm right, I'm wrong. And then beyond all of that is this stillness. It's not even beyond it, it's not far from it, it's right here. There is this stillness, this freedom that's screaming, here, 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 here. And then you're lost in your mind trying to work out the direction and which way to go. What's the best way for you? Question, is there really a you that does have choice? Like when you're walking, how do you make your legs walk? When you're breathing, how are you making the breathing happening? When you're speaking, how are you making it happen? Like you assume that you're doing the speaking, you're telling yourself, but how? How do you actually do that? The same with the movement of the hand. It's really like the perfect orchestra, the movement of the body. It really is. Thank you for your question. Hi, Robert. Hi, Panos from Greece. Hi, Lisa. Are we like grass growing with just a witness inside? We're like everything. Not just grass growing, but also the trees, the wall, the plants, the air, the sound of the birds. I mean, I can hear water. I don't know if you guys can hear that, the waterfall. You are everything. You don't have consciousness inside. All there is consciousness everywhere. In a way, it disappears because it's not conscious of. It's that everything is self-conscious. You think the consciousness comes from someone in here and stops at objects, whereas actually it's one and the same. The seeing and the object are the same thing. The seeing and the object, the hearing and the heard are the same. Thank you for your question, Panos. Hi, Dennis. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Dennis. It's evening here, but good morning to you. I'm sure you're in the USA. I would like to call you when you get to that part of your talk. Sure. Oops, that was a bit aggressive. Let's go, Dennis. I never like to call someone out the blue. I'd like to give people time because you're a little bit behind. So by the time he gets this, I'll be calling him already. Hi, Carola. Hi, Carmela. Hi, Natalia. Okay. Thomas. Hey, Dennis.
Hey, Lisa.
Sorry, was that a little bit of a surprise?
Let me put a shirt on.
You can turn off your video and then you can keep your shirt off if you like,
Okay.
because
All
it's
right. Let
better
me.
for my internet.
Yeah. Um. There.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Let me turn off the. There. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you
Good.
doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Is it hot there?
Oh, it's incredibly hot. It's like 110.
Oh wow.
Gonna be 110. It's gonna be, yeah. Oh well. Winters are beautiful.
Whereabouts is it that you are in America again?
In Phoenix?
I'm Phoenix.
Yeah. Have you been to Arizona?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've never been to Arizona. I think that Colorado's near Arizona. Is that right? I've been to Colorado,
So Colorado's a different state.
but it's
Uh,
above, isn't it?
yeah, it's above and it's a little bit east. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is Sedona in Arizona?
Yes, yes, and
I
it's
nearly went to
beautiful.
Sedona, but I didn't end up there.
Yeah, it's a cool place to visit. It
Yeah,
has beautiful red rock, and apparently there's supposed to be a vortex there.
yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of spiritual stuff up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. America's amazing for its nature. It's really got some
yeah.
amazing nature.
Well, Arizona actually has real diverse climate, so I can head 2 hours north and be 20 degrees cooler.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they do that in India. They have like these hill stations. So you just in the summertime you go up the mountain, and there's these beautiful hill stations that are very cool. We used to do
yeah,
that when we were visiting India. We'd go up when it got too hot.
yeah. So you were talking about you were answering the one question about, or you were talking about everything is consciousness and the like the rivers and the trees. Is that kind of like how you see things?
Yeah, but not me on the human level. On the human level, it sees things in subject object. So on the human level, like on the thinking level, it sees things like this is a this is a chair, and I'm speaking to Lewis or Harry or Khaleesi. So on that level, it's subject object. But beyond that, there is my essence and your essence. It's just that it sees everything because non-duality. It's just that the focus is on the person, and then there can be this energetic shift where it's just known that who's experiencing now isn't that person. It's not even mental. It's got nothing to do with the mental layer. It's beyond the mental layer. But we communicate about it. But it's seeing that it's just a shift, and knowing yourself as everything rather than as a limitation. So before, I used to be bound to all my thoughts and ideas of myself, and I felt like that's who I was. And then that stops. But there is still a character, so there is this character that comes up and sees everything in subject object. When I used to speak, I feel like I wasn't so clear about making a difference between the character and the absolute. Like that it's not, I used to be very clear, I think, always that it's not the person that wakes up, but I used to like make them too close together. Like the person very much stays a person, and it needs to stay a person in order to navigate this world.
Right. Do you like bounce between the two different perceptions, kind of, or
It's not quite like that.
oh,
It sounds like a logical like statement, like that you bounce between one and the other. It's not quite like that.
no?
No.
I'm just trying to like understand, like for
Yeah.
for you, what your perception is that.
Well, for Lisa, the character, the perception is, I presume, it's not that the Lisa the character doesn't perceive, but the Lisa is perceived, but the Lisa character, the way she thinks, is in subject and object. So the way the Lisa character thinks is that I'm sitting on a sofa and I'm talking to Dennis. So that's one level of the experience. The Lisa character very much feels divided. but then there's something that's experiencing that character, and there's an energetic shift that can happen to that. And that which is experiencing this character doesn't start or doesn't stop and isn't a thing. And you can't even really say it's experiencing the character or it's experiencing things. In one way, it's not separate from all of that, so even that sounds divided. It's just that there is this layer to us. It's not even layer, there is this base of us that's not divided. Our essence isn't divided. It's never been divided. So even now when you're listening to me, energetically, the focus is on the interpretation, the character level. So the character is an interpreter and interprets the world and then tells stories about what it does. And in your world, there's an energy that's focused on that. But there's something that knows that person and knows that sound of my voice, and it's silent and it's here and it's free and it's expanded already. Even in your experience, it's just that energetically your focus is on the storyteller and the stories you're telling yourself about this and that, and listening to me, and that you're sitting on a bed without your shirt on and all these things.
So what, maybe you can give me some advice on this.
Yeah.
So I have to sit in these trainings, and I know I've listened to your empath video, and I so much identify with that.
Yeah.
And I'm in this room with an incredible amount of people, and it's so overwhelming. And last week when I walked away, I kind of recognized it as I was overwhelmed by all that energy because the empath, I think. But is there like something I can do that will help me like not suffer and struggle while I'm sitting through all that silliness?
Yeah. As an empath, you do have to experience the pain of that. So like yesterday, my mum had to have not a serious procedure done, but a small procedure done at the hospital, and I just could feel everything. I could feel it when she felt sick. I could feel it afterwards when she was really hungry, because they don't let you eat. And the way that I feel it is that I'm starving, I feel sick, and then as soon as I move away into different energy, I feel differently. And when I was in the hospital, like the energy in the hospital isn't great, and you just have to bear the pain of that. And that's part of being an empath. It also has great sides being an empath, but like everything, it comes with pleasure and pain. And because you're see-through in a way as an empath, you just pick up everything that's around you, like it's a personality quality, and you just have to bear the pain of that when you put yourself in public situations. The way I think that like a lot of empaths, I think, go insane in our society because it is too overwhelming and there's no validation for it.
Yeah.
And the only freedom that I've found in regards to that, like my personality did change and recondition a lot, but in regards to the empath stuff, well, I did find freedom on the human level. I'll talk about that in a moment to an extent. But the true freedom that I found from it, because it is a very tense experience being an empath, is knowing who you are, which is not a thing and not that pain and everything. Like this recognition and this energetic resting in what you are, because it is painful. The other thing on the human level that gave me relief as well about being an empath was understanding it fully. And I'm still understanding and learning it, actually. So it's like really, like the more I understood it, the easier it became. Because like part of it's like not knowing what's happening that's difficult for the empath. Like not knowing why certain things are happening and why you're having certain emotions, and that's what's relaxing for the empath. You're so sensitive if you're a full empath, then you feel everything. Every time you go into contact with someone, and you can't distinguish what's yours and their feelings, because you just absorb their feelings. So if they feel sick, you feel sick. If they feel angry, you feel angry.
Right.
It's quite something. But if they feel joyful, then you'll quickly pick up on it.
Yeah, I know. Oh, sorry.
This is, I think, why I why I resonated so much with non-duality, because when I listened to teachers that had this energetic shift, like being the empath, I could feel that freedom really clearly when they spoke.
Yeah, I know. I think what has helped me tremendously is because when you are, and you know this because you are, but when you are and you go through life and you're overwhelmed, but and we talked, and me having been in recovery for a long, long time and doing all that work, and then finding out like about empath, and that's very, very helpful.
Yeah,
It's so very helpful. And
yeah.
I do have boundaries now, and I do, so that's really, really helpful. But I just love,
Yeah,
what you just said and the way you describe it and all that kind of stuff. It's
but
beautiful.
it's also like, even with your boundaries, it's not like you always have to dance with the empath, because even if you put up a boundary, if you're around somebody that has a very strong want, you're going to begin to adopt their want, because you're see-through. The empath gets that joy of being a very see-through character, where they just feel their
Oh,
environment, and
yeah.
he's sensitive to the environment. So even when you put up your boundary like really firmly and really strictly, if you keep putting around that person, then you're going to begin to absorb their wants.
Yeah, yeah. See through, that's the perfect description of
It
it.
really is, like, it's really like morphing to your environment. Like, it's not even morphing to your environment, it's just your see-through. So when, like, you've got like a basic personality, like Lisa's got a basic personality that happens, but then whenever people come in, I just feel them so intensely as if they're me on the human level.
Uh,
And that's
I
and
think
that,
that's what,
and that's how I begin to, like, I mean, I think this is how psychics work. I don't claim to be a psychic as such, or I don't know about all that in that world. But what I notice is that predominantly I'm pretty spot on, like, with how people feel. Like, not all the time, and I never want to be arrogant about it, but like, if you're sitting there speaking to someone, you're feeling really good, and then you begin to feel annoyed, either they've crossed your boundary or you're picking up their annoyance. You can never tell. You have to be really humble as an empath, because you can never tell what it is. You're never going to get to know that. You're just see-through. So everything, any energy that you come in contact with, you'll feel it immensely. And you have to be humble enough to be able to carry that, to be able to always not know and not assume that other humans are going to tell you the truth, because mostly they don't know what they're feeling. They're unconscious of it, and they most probably don't want to speak about it. It's really something.
yeah. And I think that's why I enjoy your talk so much, because it is see through. It's just transparent, and you don't get that very often.
Yeah,
You really don't.
yeah,
And your talk on gurus, man, no one's talking about that. No
yeah,
one's exposing all the insanity that happens in those. You are.
yeah. Yeah, I really, I can get quite passionate about that side of things. Like um, the most important thing that I see on the human level is just honesty. Your life is going to be so much simpler if you're just honest about things. And most of the time, people are being dishonest with themselves and with others. Like, it's just coming to that honesty. So with the guru thing, like, I I can also see how it can be helpful for people to go into that structure and to live in groups. But if that guru and if everybody was honest in that situation, that to me is when the profound stuff happens, when everyone can just say really deeply what they feel. But often people don't. Even the guru doesn't necessarily know what they feel, even if they've had big awakenings, because it's not anything they've put attention on. They're maybe not an empath, and it's maybe not relevant to them because they're more fixated on what they want. But like, if the empath were, if the guru would sit there and say, look, guys, I have to admit that I'm sitting here and really what I'm wanting is to have sex with people. This would be really beautiful. That would be really, I love
Right.
that when somebody's really honest, like they can just sit there and they can just own their shit and just say, you know,
Uh,
I'm human, like, and let people decide rather than like trying to mask it in like rings and diamonds or like looking really fancy or trying to present yourself as higher than other people in order to get the sex. It's like, and this is where I think, like, this is an effect, I think, of waking up, is that that becomes less concerned about trying to put a mask on. And so there does become more honesty. In not all cases, because I do see a lot of teachers and a lot of people speaking that I don't think are so honest. And I think that's because they're more focused on what they want. It might be because they haven't had awakening, but it could be they have had awakening and it just manifests differently in different people. But I do, from my experience, that is like quite a strong effect, is that you're not bothered to try to be something special. Like, you're not bothered to try to like put on like all these fancy whistles and bells, because there's this freedom right here that's so intense. So you might desire, like, you know, to dress okayly, like quite nicely or something, but there's not like a deep desire to get all these things or to have all these things. And you're more attracted to just simplicity, just to be, rather than to be doing all these things. Like, so, and in order to do that, you have to give up trying to live up to any image that you think you need to be to get things. So living up to being like really charismatic, or presenting that you're a really nice, peaceful person, or what else is presented at these things? Yeah, presented that you're getting there, or that you've arrived there, like you as somebody's arrived there. Like all of that is more to me about crafting and living up to some image in your head. And really what begins to happen is that you just are spontaneously expressing yourself. Like, so words come out, reactions come out, but there's nobody in there deeply trying to manipulate it in order to get things. Like, obviously everybody wants something, but it's very mild. It becomes very mild, so it's just the body's doing it naturally. The body's naturally communicating or naturally expressing itself. Do you understand what I mean?
oh yeah, yeah. I absolutely understand what you're
Like,
talking. Yeah, that image, keeping up an image, and
yeah,
yeah,
just deeply relaxing so that you're just responding. You're just saying what you say. And everyone's always afraid of that, because they think if they let go into that, then darkness will overtake them, or that there'll be no rules, there'll be no ethics. But it's really not true. The body won't be like that. The body will have ethics and have control and self-restraint. If
right.
anything, it'll be more ethical because it'll be being so honest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I have a question.
Yeah.
Um, so like when I did get sober, then I was able to finally talk to people, and now it's like a tsunami. And I would really like to transition to something like that for like job wise. You have any thoughts on that?
What do you like? Talk to people like
Talk to help them be able to express themselves. So people that are shut down, that don't know how to express themselves, to
yeah,
give that gift that I was given, because I didn't have it and then I was so confused.
yeah. Um, can't you do it already in your job, in teaching?
I can to a certain extent, especially like with teaching writing. So that, yeah, I can do it to a certain extent.
Yeah,
But I think, but I know in my experience, it's such a healing.
yeah,
Uh, and exactly what you're talking about is people talk about what they think they should talk about, and I'm not that, and I really relate to you, and that's how I put myself out there. And to be able to share that like you do, you
Yeah,
know, just profession wise, I think it would be so much more rewarding for me
yeah,
because education is very stifling.
yeah.
Oh, all the,
On an easy, like if we were thinking easy way, because in a way everything is easy. Like you just put your heart into it and you just do it. So um,
hmm.
you could just start doing it, like start speaking on the internet,
Oh,
or
okay.
or the other way you could do it is working in a more alternative school. That would be the easier way. Like easy and hard is a mentality. So saying that's the easier way for you, I don't mean to like dampen your wants or your desires, because if you want to go
Right,
big, you can go big,
right.
and you can think of something bigger or different than that. But to me, I would have thought, if I was in your position with teaching, like I love teaching, and I always thought that I would have quite liked to teach young adults. Like I
Okay.
still have a feeling that might like come about for me, like teaching like young, like maybe 16 to 21 year olds, or 24 years old or something. And like if I was in your situation, I would look at schools that were more alternative, that allowed me to express this more candidly with the people I was working with.
So maybe more along the lines of arts related or at risk,
On
real at.
in Europe, I don't know what it's like in America. In Europe, we have like Steiner schools and
Is that similar to Montessori,
yeah,
Steiner?
Montessori school,
Okay, okay, okay.
Montessori. What's it called? Montessori. Sorry.
Montessori,
Yeah,
uh-huh.
Montessori schools, and there's a wide range of them actually. That
Oh yeah,
these alternative schools. I don't know if that's what it's like in America.
oh yeah.
You can,
Yeah, we have all kinds of charters, and then some of them will actually have a focus on like art, drama, music, and some will be real highly structured, which is real anal.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah.
Like and I personally like it might be easier for you to work with older children, like
Yeah.
easier, like to be able to, because older children, it's often in teenage years when they begin to shut down. So opening up more to that. There's so many
Yeah,
different things you could do, like in university.
yeah, I've taught a couple of university classes and I love that. It's hard to
Yeah,
get in full time because everyone does adjunct or part-time teachers, but I did work in an alternative online high school and there is a lot of opportunity there.
yeah,
Might be another that might be that's a really good idea. I cringe at working with high school kids, but when you are able to do like the small group and connect and go where I'm talking about, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
because they all want to talk. That's what I
yeah,
found. I would get them in a small group, and you would get the ones that you could see that would be doing the Columbine thing because they're so shut down, but they're just so expressive. They're just
yeah,
dying to express themselves.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good idea.
I used to work with 16 to 18-year-olds in emotional behavioral disorder units, they used to call them. This was quite 10, 15
Right,
years ago. And I used to,
right.
I mean, it was really difficult, but um, there were opportunities there. Like, it was really difficult because you were very, like, limited, like, with what you could do. But when I used to teach them playwriting or drama or something, there was more opportunity. But that was hard because that was very much in the, like, the mainstream society. If I was a teacher, I would go to a really alternative school that really was out there.
Well,
And
yeah, that makes so much sense because I'm of the alternative mindset,
yeah,
always have, and I'm just out. I'm a lot like you, I think, just out
yeah,
there myself, and
yeah.
you know,
And I had so many inspiring teachers when I was young. Well, actually, not that many, but when I went to college, I went to this college. It was really amazing, and we had this teacher. I forget his second name, but his first name was called Dan, and he just had such a profound effect on me because he was so open-minded, and just like introduced me to so many amazing plays and different ways of seeing things just through teaching theatre. Like he was so open-minded, and I was like 16 at the time, and it just really was amazing. Like he had such an effect on me, and he'll never know that. now. I just track him down and
Yeah.
tell him. I really he got me reading Clockwork Orange when I was 16, and he
Reading
cast me.
what?
Do you know Clockwork Orange?
Oh, Clockwork Orange.
Yeah,
I've never seen the movie nor read it. Maybe I'll
yeah.
check.
And it's just really alternative and about society, like very like anti society or left wing, and it just really opened my mind. Like we really intensely studied it, and we really went into it in depth, and we like really explored it, and eventually we performed it. But in all of that, like we had to explore like so many different things and areas and understand it, and just that. So just doing one semester of that like really opened me up to a different way of thinking. Like that whole 2 years that I studied with him, he opened up to so many things, and a lot of the teachers there were like it. It was actually run by mainstream
Nice.
government, but it just was a really open-minded department, and they were all friends, the teachers, and just to really open my eyes to a different way of seeing the world, even though it was theatre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I was a teacher, this is what I would do.
I really like that. I really like that. Yeah. And I've always seen myself as writing kids' books, but I haven't put the effort in. I'm very gifted as far as writing skills
Yeah.
and imagination, playfulness, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you see, teaching something like writing can be just as profound as teaching something like non-duality. Like if you teach that, like
Expression.
if you're allowed to teach it properly, that's often the problem in mainstream schools is you're not allowed. But if you're really allowed to explore what writing is and and the fact that our whole society is made up from stories. It's not just in the novels, it's not just in the book. Our whole society is based on stories. The way we know how to get to the supermarket is through a story. And then eventually, I mean, now we've got the navigations, but it's a story in our mind that we drive up the road, we turn left, we turn right. Like it's all stories, like our society, our world, the way we see things. And when you can begin to communicate that in something like teaching someone to write, that really can have an effect. It's like a practical thing that it's not like preaching at someone. It's like a practical thing that opens up their mind for their own exploration.
And their soul.
Yeah,
It's like watching a really good movie or listening to really good lyrics. You know that's coming from deep down in,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do it with anything. Like you can do it with music. I mean, any subject you can. Even if you were doing economics, you get the right teacher that teaches economics, and that could blow your mind. Trying to understand economics. I mean, the philosophy of economics is fascinating. All subjects. If you look at history, all of it. If it's taught in the right way with that creative mind, then you can convey this subject, you can convey non-duality, and you can help them open their mind to all possibilities, like anything, even geography or history, maths, like
Yeah.
all of it. Taught, like I remember I always thought that maths was dull, and then I dated a guy that had like a doctorate in maths, and then he started talking about the philosophy of maths to me, and I was just like, wow, maths is so amazing. I didn't know
Yeah,
this
it's
at
exact
school.
science.
Yeah.
It's so exact. It's and if you like look at history realistically, you can really talk about how horribly destructive humans are and how caught up in the human small-mindedness,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And you can talk
Yeah.
about the development of the self, like how that self developed. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can talk about that in mainstream, but you could talk about it without non-duality in it, like the fact that we've got self-awareness and animals don't, and the development of being able to speak and then being able to refer to ourselves, and then the different ways in different languages that we refer to ourselves.
Yeah.
There's so much there. Like being a teacher is really a gift. Like being a teacher to children, it's really. I've always felt like it's something I would like to do. I still feel it will happen for me, like I
Oh,
will.
that's
But
hard.
older
Oh,
children, like 16 most probably to 21, I think.
yeah.
Yeah, I get the sense that would be the age. Like that, I was quite good at working with the difficult kids, like, and they were all 16 to 21. Even
Yeah.
though I wouldn't go back into that now, that was so hard. Like we sometimes used to have to go into prisons, like they were like prison schools. It was
Right,
really quite
right.
intense.
Yeah,
It's
those
not the
jobs.
not the best way to treat kids.
Oh no, no. Apparently, there's some countries that treat prisoners fairly well and probably cut down on a lot of the return to crime as a
Yeah,
result of it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Lisa.
Oh, with pleasure.
You're,
Thank you for calling and asking the questions.
yeah, yeah. Well, and you are teaching. You're teaching a lot.
Yeah,
You are.
I mean that's what I'm registered as a teacher of
Yeah,
philosophy. That's in France. You have to like name what you are, and
yeah.
that's what we came up with, teacher of philosophy.
Well, have a good rest of your day or night.
Thank you very much, and have a beautiful day. I hope you don't roast. You have to go to the
Oh,
supermarket to get the AC.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. But
When I used to live in Thailand, it was you'd go to the 7-Eleven and just go very slowly around the supermarket.
uh,
Yeah, nice.
yeah.
Oh, thanks, Dennis.
All right, take care.
Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Lisa. This is from Fabrizio. Hi, Lisa. How important is it to have a positive and clear image of what you want when you want to change radically your life? I'm going to go away from my little city for working in a farm, and I can feel some fear. This means that I can't do it. I can't. This means that I can't do it. When you're suffering, so when you're deeply contracted, everything you think about is going to be negative. It's only when you're not suffering that you can then begin to feel that openness in your feelings. So it's difficult. Sorry, my mum just got my attention. I think the dog just fell in the pond. Or nearly fell in the pond. Not my dog, her dog. I have to introduce you to him tonight, maybe. Archie is his name. He's very cute. He's still not behaving properly like a dog. We think that he was predominantly in a cage. Like he's got worn down teeth, and that's often when they're in the cage a lot. So he's still learning to behave like a dog. We have a right pair, the two of us, with our rescue dogs. He still just sometimes sits there and just stares off into space. Like, there's quite a few things he doesn't quite get. Anyway, back to your question. So when you're really deeply suffering, you can't think positively about what it is you want. So if when you're thinking about the farm and you're deeply contracted, it's not the time to think about whether you should or shouldn't do it. Just wait for that to pass. And as you open up more, then drop it in. And if it helps your heart, opens your heart, and you feel expanded when you think about it, then that's really beautiful. But that fear that's contracting you at the moment is not related to working on the farm. That's like a habit. It's mostly a fear of changing environments and social anxiety, not knowing what the future will be. It's not really related to the farm as such, as what you're going to be doing and your future on the farm. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. Would you like to call in, Fabrizio, and then I can work through it with you? Hey, Isabel. Hi, Roger. I teach genetics at university and sometimes feel contracted to classical science. I would like to learn how to integrate non-duality and creativity. Your comment inspires me. Yeah, it's just opening your mind to different connections, like different ways of connecting. Like genetics, you teach genetics? That's so interesting. Because then if you're talking about genetics, like it quite clearly proves or shows like how absolutely imperfect personal behavior is, that it's a response, a bodily response happening. There's so many different ways that you can open up conversation there. And it's being able to fit it into how you, or what you have to teach at university, because I'm sure you have a syllabus of what you have to follow and guidelines. But it's genetics is amazing. That's fascinating subject. So it's just opening your mind to being creative, to put the connections there, like different ways, and to connect it up with non-duality, like how this body works. Hello, Lisa. How do you relate being in a non-dual mode with laziness? I feel like when I am really unconscious, I am less willing to do stuff and to do good in tasks and that I perform. It's like I'm less motivated to do the things that I know are going to help me to be better. With be better, I mean having better relationships with my family, doing better at work. I also feel anger when I think about what I am doing and have a really repulsive sense of doing that. Hi, Alexiano. That's your name. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Sorry. I think Aledriano. I'll go for that. I apologize if I got it wrong. So I presume that this has got nothing to do with non-duality. This is to do with a condition that's happening in you, and it's most probably to do with the solar plexus and low self-esteem. And that low self-esteem and feeling not good enough when you perform tasks makes you exhausted. So it's actually to do with the stories that you're telling yourself. So this is not to do with non-duality, this is to do with the person. And so it's looking into the solar plexus area and discovering that low self-esteem and where it came from. Like it's like why, because naturally we want to do things and we want to be creative. Like even if we do things slowly, but there's a feeling of wanting to create or wanting to give to the group. So not wanting to give or not wanting to create means there's something blocking it. And it's just looking to see what that block is. More than likely you're telling yourself you're not doing it well enough or you're not doing it good enough, which is more than likely a condition that's come from your parents or your schooling, that you were told a lot that you're not good enough. Thank you for your question. If you want to call in, I'm happy to go through it with you to help you feel it in your body. Thank you very much. Actually, I'm not deeply suffering, just a bit of anxiety for new environment, as you say, and I can't wait until I feel expanded about it, so I decide to travel with this little anxiety. You think I'm going to fail? I would like to call, but I've no microphone. No, I don't think you're going to fail. How can you ever fail at anything? Like everything is always an opportunity to grow, no matter what happens. Hi, Stacey. This conversation is fascinating and heart-opening. Can you recommend a book? I can't remember what I was talking about. Author you respect, practice you recommend, who has written about empaths? I love hearing you explain, and I'm learning so much and enjoying so much hearing your insights about this. I'd like to understand more about this as a portal into further knowing the truth of who I am. I don't know if I know a book, but I will have a look and see what's in my audiobooks and see what I've been reading and see what I can recommend. Like, how can I ask my body if it's right for me to do this and have a clear answer? You need to be in a balanced mind frame, so not have the anxiety, and then imagine it unbiasedly. So just imagine being there and imagine it unbiasedly, without failing, without any ideas about it. So just put it in. Hi, can I call Lisa? Yes, you can call Andre. Andre. Hi, Andre.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Hi, it's nice to hear you.
Hey. Yeah, nice to hear you.
Um, yes, I was wondering if we could do some exploration on the solar plexus.
Sure.
Um, like I can really relate like the stories that I tell myself, that are related to this chakra. I think
Yeah.
um, around the control.
Yeah.
Like I'm I feel like I'm in a controlling environment, and I'm being controlled by my family, for instance.
Mm. So just go there and put your attention there, in the solar plexus. And just give it some space. If we weren't online, like, and there weren't other people listening, and I was okay with overexposing you, like I would get you to really speak out your thoughts and your feelings that are there, but because we're online, I'm going to keep it a little bit light, so not go too deep.
I mean, um, like you like I feel like if I do expose, like it will release something.
It will what, sorry?
That if I do expose, like it will uh, like release the
Yeah.
tension.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I work with people in that way. Yeah, saying it is such a relief. But saying it and then waking up tomorrow, you might not feel so good.
Yeah. And this, I think, like the whole idea, like working with like my personal self, like I used to when I told you, like when I was like listening to Muji,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was really expanding, and there was like no problem. Like I felt peace, and And I'm really confused lately. Like I've been listening to a lot of teachers and speakers, and yeah.
So if you felt really peaceful with Muji and really expanded with Muji, why did you start listening to other teachers?
Yeah, it's because uh, again, like maybe it's like shame or guilt. Like like after I had like a serious like fight with my parents, like I felt like it would bring them relief, and it did. But yeah, I'm just so confused.
So I don't get that. Like, why did you? What? I don't understand your reply. So my question is why did you stop? Why did you start listening to other teachers? So you thought it would bring relief to your parents because you were too expanded?
No, like after the fight that I had with my family, like
Yeah.
I started listening to you, and like I really resonated with you, and yes, when and then I started to identify with like with the whole body structure and stuff, like, and it became so heavy.
Huh. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it does.
So, so let's back
And
up because sometimes we
yes,
don't tell ourselves honest stories. We're not even aware that we're not telling honest stories. But let's just go back. So you were listening to Muji and you began to feel very expanded
yes, yes.
and free.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had a big fight with your family, and then you started listening to me, and things
Yes.
changed. But let's just go back to like why you fought with your family. Like, what was the
Um,
big fight? Like, so why did that
like
stop you listening from?
like it was like the exact like the like it was like I felt it was like really the period of the time. It was like I was actually losing my identity. Like really, I felt that, like expanding in that way.
Yeah.
And
Like, and what was happening?
maybe they triggered something, and like they felt that, and they had like the urge to like come in and like face me and say he's the devil and stuff, and it was crazy. Like, yeah.
So what was happening with losing
It
your
was like
identity?
with who? With Muji?
No, before your parents came in and did that. Like, what? Yeah, what was
Yes.
happening? Like when your whole identity was collapsing. Like, what was happening in your life? Like, how did your parents
No, I
know
I
that was
didn't.
doing you were doing that?
Mm, um, oh yeah, they perhaps like um wait, can you ask me again what?
How did how did your parents know that you were into Muji? Like, what was happening when you were losing your
Yeah, because
identity?
I was talking to them about it, and they had an idea, and like and I got like excited about this non-duality topic, and I thought like if I introduce it to them, like they will benefit from it, and from that point it got like worse,
Yeah. Are you,
basically.
and are you not doing what they want at the moment?
No, they're like don't want to like criticize and stuff, but like they drink a lot and everything, and yeah, but again, like I think that's what I feel. Yeah, like I feel, I don't know, like when I criticize them, like it pains me, like I feel
Yeah.
it.
Um, you don't need to criticize them. Then that's really sweet that
Yes.
you feel like that. Like You have empathy for them. Like
And
but
I felt like the urge to forgive them for a long time, but I'm not able to, and I feel like I have to keep on.
yeah. Well, so what's the conflict between your parents? Do your parents want you to leave home, or do they what's causing the conflict? Is it that you're trying to change them to make them healthier?
No, not anymore. Like I got the message, you know.
Yeah. And why do you have to interact with them so much? Are you still very young? I'm going to find out you're like 13. I'm joking, your voice is too deep.
No, I'm actually 18.
18.
Yes.
Okay. And are you in education or working?
No,
Neither.
neither. Yes.
And how long has that been the case?
Like since I finished school,
When did you finish school?
uh, like 2 months ago.
Okay. And so now it's like this period where you have to go out in the world and make choices and
Like it's a period like between like I'm going to, like I have to go to the army like in few months.
I see.
Yes, but and that's another like deal for me because I don't want to go.
Are
Like
you
and here,
you're from Israel?
yes,
I see.
like
Yeah.
here we are supposed to go, you know, like, and I want to like try and convince them like why I don't want to go, and there's like a certain percentage that yeah, like maybe it's not going to like pass through.
Yeah. Um
I
but
think you know like that's just stories, and I feel like it's to do with the fear of survival basically.
yeah. And you go to oh yeah. And you go to like what do you have to do in the army? What's your position?
Like I don't know till like maybe prior 1 month like they send you certain roles, jobs
Yeah.
that you have to fulfill,
Yeah.
and you decide I think like from like few roles like.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yes, and
I
like
don't
being
think there's an
against that, you know.
yeah, and I don't think there's an easy way out because I think if you don't go, it's prison, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Or you get to say you're mentally ill or something. That's your two
yes,
options.
yes, yes.
But if you say you're mentally ill, you have that for the rest of your life on your history.
No, I read about it, and like it seems like you don't get like nothing from it. Like it doesn't do anything for your like for your
But is it honest?
it is like I'm really suffering, you know, from anxiety.
Right. And how long's that anxiety been going on for?
Um, like 1 year, maybe a little more even. Like yes,
Yeah.
like intense, and it
Okay.
was actually because of drugs.
I see. Yeah. What sort of drugs?
At first it was like weed,
Yeah.
and then it came to like heavier stuff, not like heroin, but magic mushrooms, you know,
Yeah.
acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long ago did you stop taking that?
I mean, I might smoke weed like once in a while, but I'm not affected by that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no urges like
Yeah. Yeah. So
like
you,
that's the only thing that I care about And yeah.
So you're in this situation where you're in conflict with your parents because you want to not go and they want you to go.
That's not the main problem,
It's not,
but maybe it's a part of it,
I
but
see.
it's not the main.
Yeah. Okay, so there's issues there. So so when you listened to Muji, you began to expand, and all these problems began to disappear, right? Like
On the
listening.
surface, like,
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, and it is really. I mean, there is an element to it. Like your essence is free, and when you were listening to Muji, and I can imagine that you are beginning to resonate with your essence. There's something deeper that is totally free and non-identified and doesn't mind whatever happens in this life. It's just love.
Yes.
It's here. It's sitting there. And so when you were listening to him, you could
Like,
sense
yes,
that.
it was like a wonder, like, for the first time that I heard
Yeah.
it, like,
Yeah, and that's really beautiful. But the problem is that this stuff will keep pulling you back in until it's dealt with. Like
yes,
you're
like
never
I
going to
feel
have a
in a way,
perfect life.
in a way, like, I think I got the message that I was like really expanding, and the family like came in and like things broken down, like maybe it was some kind of message.
Yeah. So this stuff has to be looked at, and it's so good. You're so lucky because you're 18 years old to look at this stuff now, because your body is really flexible, and so you can change really quickly. As you get older, you get more fixed in your ways, and so when you get into reconditioning yourself at a young age, you can change really quickly. And I know that because I started in this subject really young, and it's much easier to change when you're younger. On the conditioned human level, like if you've been thinking or having anxiety for 30 years, it's a lot bigger wave to deal with than when you're 18. So I think it's really great. I think you should carry on listening to non-duality, but be really clear that non-duality is beyond the human, and it is the freedom that's right here. Like your essence now isn't divided, isn't limited, it isn't separate from my words, from what you're hearing now, from what you're seeing, from what you're experiencing. Like your essence is not two. But on the human level, if your body is programmed to anxiety, if you don't deal with that anxiety, non-duality is not going to fix that anxiety. It could relieve it to an extent, but you've got to understand it and push your body into a different direction and a different way of dealing with things. Like anxiety is predominantly caused, I think, from over-release of particular hormones in the body. It's particular stress hormones. I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than what I'm talking about. Yeah, and it's just a habit and retraining your body not to keep releasing it. And it's also that chemical is often what makes people ill as well, like physically ill. So it's just seeing that and retraining it. So understanding how and why the anxiety is caused, like what's the triggers, like what's triggering you, seeing that it's not true, that they're thoughts, and then putting yourself in a different direction. So experiencing it in the body, knowing where it is in the body. So if it's anxiety, it will more than likely be in the sacral chakra, and then putting yourself in a different energy by telling yourself the opposite to that sacral chakra. So you're feeling in fear, you're feeling anxiety, so saying, I am strong, I can look after myself.
Yes, and it's like a situation around the sexuality and stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah. There's a lot we could talk about, but I don't want to overexpose you, because also grounding you as well. Like, so with the sacral chakra and with the root chakra to give more strength, like grounding you into the earth so you feel more strong,
Yes,
you feel more present.
Doing that, yes.
Yeah. There's so much you can learn. Like I think if you do have the time before you go to the army, like researching the chakras, like understanding the chakras, understanding what your body's saying, and then trying to move them into the more positive. And you don't want to stay in the positive. What you're trying to do is getting them to neutral.
Sorry, listen. I think like the army stuff, like it's really triggering me too.
Yeah, I can imagine. But I think that you get the option to have a lightweight job, right? Like I don't think you necessarily have to.
I mean, obviously, like the best option like would be like to consult like therapist there and like talk him, like explain to him why I don't want to like go, and it's possible to to get a, how's it called, like,
Certificate.
yes,
Yeah. I mean, if you
and
think
I'm
that,
hoping for that.
yeah, but also you can do a very menial job, I think. Like I'm not pro you going into the army. Like it maybe sounds like that. It's just that I'm pretty sure that will have quite strong consequences on you
Yes,
if you don't do it.
like it's social anxiety.
Yeah.
Like it was based like around social anxiety
Yeah.
when it was developing,
Yeah. There's
and now
some.
I'm by myself usually, and like that's the
Yeah.
like main vibration I feel.
Yeah. And there's so much we could talk about, but I don't want to go too deep with you when we're live on the internet. But
And like I get like crazy like dreams even like
yeah.
that no like symbols, I guess,
Yeah.
like I should get away from my family, they're really controlling, I should go my own way and everything like that.
Yeah. But you didn't, for a lot of social anxieties, the therapy that.
Like I think I need like really to ground myself,
Yeah.
and then I will be able to go on.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's great to contact the therapist and to speak to them, and not necessarily about getting out of the army, but just speak to them honestly about your experience and just
Yeah.
see what they have to say, and try to find someone that's really open-minded, like a therapist that, I mean, I don't know what you're allowed to have in Israel, like if the government or how it works, but finding a therapist that's open-minded, not just to Western medicine, but also Eastern medicine as well, and see what their recommendations are. I think it's really important that you deal with this side and don't just bliss out with non-duality. I'm really glad that you called in. I know it's painful to deal with it because it's difficult and heavy feelings, but you're so young and there's so much out there for you, and even though it's really intense now and you feel like it's out of control now, like
you know, my parents made me to go to a psychologist, like psychiatric, I think it was like, and we were talking like, and I was telling her the story, and she basically just prescribed me medication.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, try to go to someone with Eastern.
Yeah, but like I don't know
ideas.
if we have any of that.
Yeah, I'm sure you do in Israel. Like, I'm sure it is there. Like, maybe there's another Israeli person listening that if they have any recommendations. Yeah, because medicine can numb it in the beginning, but it's not going to fix it.
No, I did not even take it.
Yeah.
Like when it was that period when I was listening to Muji, and like I was telling my mother like everything is fine, but
yeah.
It was like.
I think there's we could talk about a lot, but I am concerned about exposing you too much on the internet. Like I'll most probably delete this conversation so it doesn't go up on the internet, like this last part, because I always feel this concern for people, and I want them, like, it might be okay now, but in like 6 months' time you might regret it, or a year's time you might regret it. So, but I think it's really great that you're asking these questions and that we're speaking, and I think there is somebody out there, I'm sure someone will contact me after the talk that can recommend someone from Israel, and then I can pass that on to you. There's books, there's resources on the information, and in the end it's down to you if your heart is open and really wants to change these dynamics, because you're right at the beginning of your life. So like, if you change the way you see your world,
that's resisting that. To go to actually talk to someone.
Yeah, but you're talking to me, so you can do it.
Yeah.
But if you change it now, like if you change the way you see the world on the human level now, it will actually change the way you experience the world and the life that you have, because you attract what you think and what you feel about the world. You'll attract that into your life. So, like, in the sense that if you have lots of anxiety, then you most likely won't socialize with people, so you'll be very remote and very alone. So if you can get in control of that and you can understand the source of it and what causes it, then it doesn't mean that you will hide yourself away from the world or from people, that you can socialize and go out there a lot more. There is so much out there for everybody. It's just that you've got to really seriously ask yourself and commit to yourself that you want to change and that you want to do it on the human level, and not use non-duality in any way as an excuse. Non-duality is beautiful.
Like maybe I can speak to you, book a private session.
Yeah, I would be delighted to speak to you. Like, I'm super happy to speak to you, like in a private session.
Yeah.
But if your parents, and if you need anybody that's listening from Israel that can recommend somebody, a psychologist that is like a Western psychologist, but with also Eastern philosophy in there as well, that's not just going to prescribe pills, because you might find that for the army or your parents that you need to go to someone that's in Israel. So we can also advertise for that. But I could talk to you a lot about what's happening with you now, but I'm just reluctant to when other people are listening. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, okay, Lisa.
Oh, thank you for calling and being so open.
Thank you very much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll talk to you, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, guys, I have to leave now. I've actually done the full 2 hours. I said I would leave early. I am not leaving early. Thank you, everybody, for participating, and I really appreciate your questions, your openness, and your honesty. And I shall see you. I can't remember if I see you on this Wednesday or not. But keep an eye on my website, because I think I'm going to take the whole of August off from talks. I do a retreat and I'm traveling, so I thought I might just take the whole month off. So keep an eye on my website, and you can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then that will update you when I go live and if I do post videos outside of the live talk. Thanks, guys. Bye.